James Carpenter with Country Living. Welcome to my channel and thank you for watching my videos. Good morning. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's James Carpenter. The project today is to build a short little wall right here beside the door that we installed in the last video. If you haven't seen that video, you can go back and watch that. But I did finish up a few things on the door, and I'll go over that with you now. So I got the case molding around the door. You see that green sticker? That's Habitat sticker. It says $2, but I actually worked a better deal than that and kind of bundled a whole bunch of that case molding. Now in the last video we did install the door, but we didn't have the step finished. So I wanted to show you how that came out. That fills in that distance between the door and the shipping container. Worked out pretty good. I'm going to start the framing for the wall. I actually pre-cut those boards to save a little bit of time on the video. Now what I'm doing here is pre-drilling the holes for the deck screws. Again, I do that, takes a little bit of stress off the lumber, less chance of cracking, especially when you're that close to the edge of the board. I know professional framers don't have the time to do all that, but I'm basically retired, somewhat retired, and I can do it my way and take my time. Always making sure everything's perfect. It's one nice thing about speeding these videos up. It makes it look like I work pretty fast. I'm flipping that around because of the camera angle. If I would have installed this board on the other side, you wouldn't have been able to see the process. Now obviously that board looks a little bit green. It's pressure treated. It's the bottom plate of the wall. Because it sets on concrete, I just less chance of, you know, the concrete sweating, and regular pine maybe rotting out. That pressure treated board will last considerably longer. Now what I noticed here is that 2x4 is slightly warped, so I put the screw in the bottom, and then I went and got this clamp, and it allows me to have some leverage to straighten that board out and then sink that screw. That clamp's like having a second set of hands. Comes in really handy, especially when you're working by yourself. This block that I'm cutting now lines directly up with the steel shelf, and the purpose of the block is to run some lag bolts through the steel shelves and tie them into the wall. Pre-drilling again. You probably notice how I have a tendency to put everything back when I'm finished with it. You may think, well, that's time consuming, but actually it's not. There's that block lined up with the bench. If you leave tools just laying around, then you're constantly looking for them, and they become clutter and they get in your way. So I've just developed a habit of putting the tools back where they belong. That way when I need them again, I know exactly where they're at. This little piece of plywood here was leftovers from where we did the office in this same building. And you obviously see paint on there. I've used it to paint on top of, to keep the paint off other stuff. But it's going to be on the inside of the wall. You won't ever see it. What I'm doing here is I'm lining my framing up with the plywood. And then I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to draw it out. That way I know for a fact it's going to fit nice and square and perfect. Making some final adjustments. Make sure it's lined up. Making our pencil lines. I ran into a little issue with the furnace. It's one of those efficient furnaces that has a condensation tube that runs to the outside of the building. Well, with these sub-zero temperatures, it froze up on me and shut the furnace down, gave it an error code. So I'm actually working right here. I've got my jacket on because the temperature is probably about 40 degrees in there right now. I made a decision today that I'm going to replace the saw blade on that circular saw, the battery powered circular saw, the table saw, and the I don't know if that's a miter saw, chop saw. I've heard them called different things. But my blades are Diablo. They're good blades, but obviously everything wears out over time. So they're just not cutting as precision as they could. So I'm I'm gonna make me a trip to Home Depot here soon and replace those 4 blades. I'm actually right-handed. I'm cutting with my left hand right now. One more cut. I'll knock the sawdust off there. Set our frame up there on the bench. I'm getting just a little bit too old to work down low on the ground. I'm going to be 70 here in a couple years. That's just a bit much to kneel down, so I try to do everything at a workable height for me. Put my helper on there. Okay, what we got here is, well, we're blowing that dust off there, but we've got the air nailer. It's like a finish nailer. I'll go around, tack that plywood on there with that. Now, I don't know how long those little brad nails are going to hold up in that pressure treated wood. But if I see signs of it working loose in the future, I'll probably shoot regular coated screws in there. May never ever be a problem, you never know. Alright, looks like we got that finished up. Get it in place. See how it butts up against that bench? Check for level and plumb. It all looked good. It's a 3-inch deck screw going into those 2x10s. Double check that plumb one more time. Yeah, it looks like we're going to check it again since we gave it a couple love taps. Shoot the rest of the screws in there, secure it to the wall, or the framing for the door, that is. There we are. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to bolt those benches to the shipping container, and I'm going to bolt the benches together. Those screws you're about to see here in a minute go through the plywood and into the bench. Now we're going to put the covering on the other side of the wall, using the brad nailer for that. Using that bucket for a little stool. Like I said, that kneeling down on my knees is not working these days. So I find that bucket comes in handy to get me lower to the ground so I can work without actually being on my knees. Those stripes you see on that board, those are aluminum strips. That's some more Habitat materials I picked up. Very reasonable. I'm drilling through the aluminum strip and into the 2x4 a little bit. What I'm going to do is shoot some screws in there, because those little tiny nails, I'm just not sure is quite enough, but the screws will ensure a good hold. Now we're going to case this in with some more Habitat wood, hardwood, 1x6. The end of the board had some hairline cracks in it, so I'm cutting that out of there. Got my measurement. We're basically going to dress it up a little bit. the measurement for the top board. I left it about a 1/2 inch long just to give a little reveal. Right there where my hand is, my right hand, that's where that 1/2 inch overhang is. I'll show you later in the video, but I rounded those corners off just so that they're not so blunt. And my battery died at some point, so I did some trim mold that you'll see here in a minute or so. That's the trim I put on there. That's hardwood. That's more Habitat lumber there. So that put a nice little look there. You can see the rounded corners. Rounded those off. And I'm going to paint everything gray. A big thank you goes out to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you. Anybody that's not subscribed, I would appreciate you if you would subscribe. Thank you.